Hi, my name's Dee, your Professor of Woo Woo, and welcome to Untitled Tarot, and welcome to the general reading for Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, whatever, whatever aspect of your chart that you're looking at. Now, as of general reading, reading rules apply. You know, timing's far from absolute. Energies I see the energies, so therefore, if I say it's you doing something to somebody else, it could be that somebody else doing something to you. Doesn't happen a lot, can happen. Now, where these readings are different is before I crack on with them, what I would like you to do is ask a question. So take a moment, think about all of the questions that are around you at the moment and be aware of them all, because cards will answer what they want, you know, not necessarily what you or I think is the main priority. But focus on one of them, and hopefully that's the one that gets answered. If it's not for you, you'll soon be able to tell. There's a past and a present in this spread. So if I'm not talking about your situation, go and watch your moon sign, your rising sign. In fact, always watch your rising sign. If you've only got time for one of them, go watch your rising sign without a shadow of a doubt. Same with your astrology forecasts, read your rising sign. So I'm live streaming on Instagram, I'm recording for YouTube and Odyssey and BitChute and what have you. So obviously, thank you very much for watching. Please do the whatever the internet protocol is for whatever channel you're watching this on. You know, like, share, follow, subscribe, love, heart, whatever it is, or even listen to the reading first and then do it. So I'm assuming that you've asked your question. I normally have a longer blurb than that, but I can't remember it. I'm out of practice. My apologies that there's been no real reading since November, and my apologies to Aries and Taurus, because technically you can tell I was out of practice. So let me change the camera for YouTube and for Instagram. The situation where you are at the moment is Three of Pentacles, an area of recognition, being noticed, being, it's almost like an arrival, but you've been there all along without actually, it's all of a sudden you've been noticed. All of a sudden there's, oh, how long have you been there? And how long have you been doing that? And because we have judgment, someone's making a decision. This might not be you, because remember, judgment is certainly in the Rider-Waite card. So that you want to know, I'm using the Tarot Apocalypsis for the main deck and the Supernatural Tarot. Yes, Supernatural, the TV series. I was overjoyed when I found this as the clarifying deck. So if you think about the Judgment card in the Rider-Waite, it's Judgment Day. It is the dead rising, ready to go into heaven. Now, Minnow Pond will say they need to get out of their boxes and actually make that transition. Judgment card is very much a portal. So there is, whether this is something that you have recognized or whether this is something that has been recognized about you, it doesn't really matter, because it's something that you have been putting the work in. Here's the past bit. So we have Eight of Pentacles with the Knight of Goblets, so King of Cups, and oh, I cannot remember that character's name. Hold it, there you go, YouTube, and there you go, Instagram. It was that little Weasley guy who I think ended up turning into a werewolf, but he was a hunter, and I cannot remember his name for the life of me. But with this Eight of Pentacles implies that there's been something that you've been working on for a very long time, and has been repetitive, and you've been under instruction while you've been doing it. So whether that means that you're actually studying with a master, or you've just been taking course after course after course, and also over and above the course, you've been putting the work in. You've actually been doing it. Now, this has already proved fortuitous. If you look, there's Ganesha sat there in the background. But I feel with this Knight of Pentacles, somebody who you didn't expect has come along and gone, you know what? It's not why don't you do it this way? That's not what they're saying. It's more, why don't you do exactly what you're doing, but do it over here. Do it over here where you can be seen by these people, because it's going to be useful for you. It's going to lead to the recognition that you are wanting, because what Spirit is bringing in for you, we have the Magician card clarified by the Ace of Pentacles. So there's a whole new beginning that you're perfectly capable of coping with, that you have the resources for. And that's the important thing. The Ace of Pentacles implies the resources and the new beginning, whereas the Magician implies that you have got the elements working to your command. You have got the elements doing what you want them to do. You have got all of your pieces in place, and you've got all the right tools, and you know exactly when to use what tool. You know, you're not stood at you're not stood at a surgery table asking for a rake, a fork, and a spade. You know, so what is standing against you? Prince of Wands with the Hierophant. Now, there's somebody who doesn't like what you're doing, quite possibly, or there's some action. There's somebody who doesn't like what you're doing because it's not the proper way. There's a joke between me and a few friends of, where in the book does it say that? You know, is that somebody we know has been often said. And this Prince of Wands Hierophant rather gives me that feeling of, hang on a minute, that's not the traditional way. The other side of these two cards is very much that there was an action that was maybe quite rash that was brought a stop to. Now, I don't necessarily think this is your action. It might have been. I don't know whose action it was. But this is the other way of reading these two cards, and both feel quite vibrant, because whoever is objecting to what you're doing is younger than you, but they're a lot more traditional in their outlook, let's put it that way. And for both of you, if my eyes are funny, that's because my cameras are just not quite at the same height, so I'm looking from one to the other. So here's my apologies. But the Prince of Wands strikes me as someone who has done a rash action. It's like, you might suggest, well, why don't we do it this way? Oh, no. Well, you see, there was somebody 2 years ago who did it that way, and they messed up. And they ended up injuring themselves or injuring somebody else, or it all going wrong, or ruining a harvest, ruining the production line, ruining the project. And so there is still this resistance to what you are announcing. However, now it's just occurred to me that the resistance is the stubbornness of the Prince of Wands. That's what I'm thinking of. That this resistance might be slightly to do with the fact that they don't know quite what it is that you are actually proposing. You say one thing, and they're hearing this thing from the past. They're hearing this thing that, well, so-and-so did something like that, and look what went wrong, we're not doing it. And what you're suggesting, what you are proposing, and what you have already been recognized for is not quite what happened. But you may have some, you may have some explaining to do to educate or to illustrate to this other person just precisely what it is that you are announcing. Because there are some people that can see Prince of Pentacles here clarified by the Six of Pentacles, No interesting characters on that one, just a pip card. Um, that means there is somebody who can see the value in what you're doing. Oh, but they also might want to nick your idea, so be careful with that. But they're going to take some convincing of that value because of what needs to change for you to do what you're going to do. So to be quite honest, you're better off doing this on your own. So if this is a thing where you're going into business, do it yourself. You know, don't announce it to your manager. Go and set up a business doing it. That's the, because your manager might be a bit sort of, yeah, but we don't do that here. There is, so what is beneath you? What is your foundation? Now they're shifting sands very slightly because, and that was weird because as I was meditating before this, it was almost like as I closed my eyes, the darkness behind my eyes was going, you know, like when you're rolling your eyes around in your head, and it was almost, it looked like the darkness was doing that, and I know my eyes were perfectly still, but it was a really weird sort of, oh, that's weird. But we start with the moon, and this immediately makes me think of illusion, delusion, and the ebb and flow. That's what I get a lot from the moon. There's an element of balance, but there's an element of needing balance. Notice in this particular card, hold it to both cameras here, that there's no tower. There's no two towers. There's no, there is a tame dog and a wild wolf, but there's no two towers. So, and this is being clarified with the world, which on this is Dean and Sam in their car driving again to wherever it is that they're going. You know, let's remember that they pretty much lived in that car. So it's a journey to get where you're going, but you have to deal with these misunderstandings and this sense of people not getting quite what you're about. But what you are about is trying to make something lasting. Because from the Oracle cards, we have the sixth house card representing sustainability, representing service and health. But bear in mind, I'm not a medical person. Insert standard disclaimer here. But I really like that the world is the clarifying card on the bottom to start off with. And then in the section that you're moving into, we have the world as the main card with the 10 of Cups. Now, you don't get... you don't... The 10 of Cups, the only more happy, happy, joy, joy card than the 10 of Cups is the Sun. And there's also, again, Minnow Ponstrings in mind, he always calls the 10 of Cups fortune after difficulty. And we can see this difficulty at the moment. But this thing that you've been working on for so long, your own inner fire, Hestia here, has been recognised, and your skill has been acknowledged by spirit, if nobody else. Now, yeah, you might be upsetting a few apple carts. Hey ho, so what? You know, if your way is better, quicker, more environmental, it calms down the home. Let's not forget sixth house, service, and Hestia here, goddess of hearth and home. Then it could be something referring to how you want to change things inside your life. Excuse my hair, it's got really big today. But there's a lot of success promised at the very end of it. But you are going to have to go through this. It's not even somebody saying to you, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. It's somebody saying, you want to do what? Well, we're not having that. And you're replying, that's not what I said I wanted to do. What I want to do is different to that. Please listen to what I am saying before you blow it out the water. If you hear what I am saying and still manage to blow it out of the water, fine. That's okay. But to start off with, listen to what I'm saying. Which is something that they might not want to do with this Prince of Pentacles. Now, Prince of Pentacles, so that would be the Knight of Pentacles. They're slow to take it on board. And when all said and done, look at them. They are, I've got to position this just right for each camera. So they are the preening peacock in this deck. So whereas the Knight of Pentacles is normally slow but steady, although I still think you can add steady into this, but they're far more interested in what they're doing than what you want to do. But for you, it's about time you want to change. We have, for you in the situation, your feelings, your energies, the Empress clarified by the original death out of Supernatural. So we've had Billy here as the Reaper, who became the new death, as the Hierophant, and now we're looking at the old days. So I am tempted to say with that, what you're saying might be against tradition, but it is drawn from an older tradition. It's drawn from a previous way of doing things that we just don't do that anymore. And what you have learnt is very much going, well, hang on a minute. Why don't we do it that way anymore? It would work, and it would cost less, be cleaner, create peace in the home, whatever. So hopes and fears. Oh my God, is everybody going to talk about it forever? Well, the other fear, we've got the King of Blades here as the clarifying card. So the other fear is someone's just going to say no immediately. Now, comfort yourself with the fact that you do have everything that you need to go ahead with what it is that you are doing. Whatever it is that you are planning for, you've got everything that you need. And like I said, it might be something that it's just you doing it, because I'm not seeing a huge amount of support here from people who you are requiring support from. But the truth is, you don't actually require that support from them. You can get it done on your own, but it's going to take time. The final outcome cards, we have the Hermit, which is doing it on your own and finding your inner light. The Hanged Man, time, patience. Yeah, time, delay. But also, the more that you try to do this and the more resistance that you get, the more you are learning. So it's like you've moved from textbook to real world, although I do rather think you was doing real world stuff beforehand, but probably on a different scale, on a smaller scale. But you've moved from textbook to real world, and all of a sudden it's just not as simple as what it looks like in the textbook. And then these are clarified by the Knight of Blades, which is really interesting. Two very slow cards, because that Hermit's got to go out and wander. The Hanged Man is there for a good while to gain his wisdom. But there's another way to interpret these last three cards, with the Knight of Blades, Knight of Swords being there at the end. And that's that this wisdom that you are requiring, because you've got all the tools, you've got all the resources, you've got the skills. It's maybe it's the application of those with regards other people. And the wisdom that comes in from all of that is thick and fast. And there is a lot of it. And every single piece of it is worth it. So, yes, you may feel to start off with like you are failing to overturn the apple cart that you are wanting. But with this World and 10 of Cups, yeah, you've got a slog on your hands, but you can well match it with this Magician, Ace of Pentacles. And it's interesting because on the bottom of the deck, we have Queen of Swords. And I'm assuming that is the, Nine of Wands. That's one of the vampire guys, Nine of Wands. So there's that sense of nearly there, need to cut out the crap. And the only way you can cut out the crap is by encountering that crap in the first place, which is that resistance, that we do not do it this way here. And it's like, okay, if you don't do it here, I'll go do it somewhere else. So there's your there's your advice. Stick at it. More than likely do it on your own. You're not going to necessarily be understood by people you would like to be understood by, such as authority figures, financial backers, whatever, you know, whether it's your manager or the bank, or even your spouse, where your spouse could be going, "You're doing what? Why?" You have the ability to go, "Trust me, everything else is sorted. Everything else is running tickety-boo. I have the time to devote to this. Leave me to it. Let me show you. Just give me the time." And that's a fine compromise, because it will take time, but by heck are you going to be a lot wiser at the end of it than what you are now. And you're not in that bad a position right now, to be quite honest. So I hope that answered your question, Gemini, whatever it was. So like I say, like, share, subscribe, follow, tick, the part, whatever, on whichever platform you're watching this on. And yeah, go and watch your rising sign, your moon sign, or if this was your rising sign, go and watch your sun sign. Cheers.